All right, happy Monday. This is the Cow Guy Close. And yeah, I'm Scott Shellady, also known as the Cow Guy. I think the jacket might give that away. All right, let's get after it, right? The tweet that went out on Saturday, right? It went something like this. Consistent with real Donald Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. So there you have it, right? The federal workers are going to start to get treated like private sector workers have been all along. An email then went out across the federal agencies from the Office of Personnel Management with the subject line, "What did you do last week?" It told employees to reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished this week and CC your manager, but please do not send classified information, links, or attachments. Deadline is Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Well, tell your boss 5 things you did last week is difficult. I mean, I think most of us could write down 20 things we did professionally last week. Obviously, there's already been some blowback, right, with FBI and Kash Patel and Department of National Intelligence with Tulsi Gabbard. They're going to do their own thing, right? But they're going to do something similar, I'm sure. But the interesting thing about this story is the reaction of those public sector employees when asked to describe what their job is and what they did last week. My next guest, she's got a lot of employees. We just got done talking about them. And we wanted to know her opinion on how hard it would be for her private sector staff to list 5 things that they did last week. Please welcome in the show, Ms. Rebecca Walser, Walser Wealth Management down in Tampa, Florida. Thank you very much for taking the time, Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to get this off my chest, and I'm going to let you talk real quick. They're acting like it's the world's worst thing that's ever happened to them, but I didn't see the same level of concern when all those people that didn't take the vaccine were let go, or all those people that got thrown out of their jobs over the pandemic because they weren't allowed to go to work anymore. There was no worry about where they were going to feed their kids from or what they were going to do for a living. But now all of a sudden, the federal workforce is treated like the private sector, and they're all up in arms.
You know, Scott, I do this for a living. You do this for a living. I didn't think that anything that could surprise me other than the financial accounting transparency that will get out of Doge. I'm sure there's a zillion trillion surprises in there that I'll be like, whoa, and so will the rest of the world. But I got to tell you, never did I realize the dichotomy between the private sector and the public sector was literally this bad. First of all, I want to start back at your childhood. How many of us sat around the dinner table? Hopefully we had a mother and a father. We were blessed if we did. And we got to say, hey, what was your day like today? What did you do today?
100%.
Like that was the typical family conversation. And nobody sat there and said, well, geez, I don't think I should be accountable to you, Mom and Dad. What do you have to do with my day? And I can't believe I have to sit here and give you an accounting of my day. So this is what is common. This is what we do in our families. This is what we should be doing with our children every single day. But let's look at the private sector, okay? My firm, we have what we call end of days. Now, we have a CRM relationship management system where you can put all this information into the system. But when you have a large staff, they can't go and look up every single person's end of days on every single client to see what really happened. So what we do is we send a summary, end of day summary that gets published to the entire group on their team so that everybody knows what everyone got done very efficiently. And nobody thinks to say, gosh, what am I going to write about? And we do that daily, end of day. So to give somebody 5 days to write down 5 things that happened, or to say, hey, you have 1 day a week that you have to recount what you did 5 times when you work a 5-day work week. This is really, if it wasn't so abysmal, it would be the funniest thing I've ever heard. But this is the mentality, Scott, that makes people say that they aren't accountable to the taxpayer. Because if they're not accountable to their bosses for what they're doing, and if this is a pushback problem, then wow, do we need Doge more than we ever thought we did.
And yes, I agree with 100% what you just said there. But here's the thing, I'll take it one step further. I get the fact that they're looking for people not to respond because they're ghost employees, or if you can't say what you did for your job, you're probably not doing your job. So it was just an initial foray into kind of trying to weed out the easy stuff first and then get to the harder stuff later. But in the end, they didn't realize that they were stirring up a hornet's nest, because even the people that have been there doing stuff took offense to the fact that they had to report to somebody about all the money that they were spending, the things that they were spending the taxpayers' money on. It just it beggars belief. So now we get woken up to the fact that these people aren't accountable to us. They don't think it's our money. They think it's their money. And this is what has been going on for probably 50 years.
Yeah, and if you have, it's entitlement, isn't it? Like if when you first dip your toe in the water, if it's warm and you get in and you swim and you swim and you swim for 50 years like that, and nobody bothers you to get out, get a towel, put chlorine in, do this, do that, and you don't have to account to anybody for what you're swimming around in for 50 years, then I guess maybe it could seem like someone comes along who owns the pool, who pays for the pool for 50 years and says, hey, what the heck are you doing? You might be a little bit entitled to say like, hey, this is my pool, except for the fact that you realize as a human being that you are hired by the federal government, being paid by the taxpayer. And guess what? It is not your pool. So if you have a problem, describing how you've taken care of it and what you've done to take care of it, then you don't get it. Get out of the freaking pool. Get out. Get out of the pool.
Yeah. So you're right. And we're seeing that left, right, and center. The pictures of the people were leaving USAID with boxes, their stuff from their, leaving with the box of their stuff, their personal items. I don't know about you, but that reminded me of 08, 09 when a lot of those banks in Wall Street went under and everybody had to walk by a camera outside their bank, especially Lehman Brothers, people walking out. There was no alligator tears for those people not knowing how they were going to pay for their child care or what was going on with those individuals. But now all of a sudden we have to care because it's a federal employee, not a private employee. That's what I don't like.
You know what I care about more? I care about the fact that they've already stolen not only from my grandchildren. I'm so sick of people saying we're stealing from our grandchildren. No, we're not even stealing from our children. We're stealing from ourselves because there is no person alive breathing right now that is, 30 and up that is not going to feel higher taxes for the rest of their life based on the debt we've created 100%. And based on the annual budget that we have. We steal from ourselves, not our future generation too, but also ourselves. So accountability is not a nicety. It is an absolute essential at this stage of the game. Period. End of story.
And we're all going to be paying for it until we're 365 years old. Looks like, right? Because that's the highest age group that are still cashing Social Security checks. Anyway, thank you very much for that, right. Rebecca. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Rebecca Walser, Walser Wealth Management. She's